All right, so it's Tuesday night, couple nights before hurricane. I believe it's Mitchell or Matthew or Michael, one of those. Supposed to be brushing up the east coast of the U.S. So, figure what a better time to kind of go over a couple things, review a couple things, and just give some of my ideas. So, first things first, I went to try to get some gas in the Jeep, and the line was just huge. And I've got half a tank of gas, so I'm not that worried about it. I may go out around midnight and just try to fill up, but it just wasn't worth sitting in a line of 15, 20 cars. The supermarket just went actually just to go shopping. It was kind of a day to go shopping. Turned out to be the worst day to go shopping. Of course, there's no water, there's no bread, there's very little milk. Everything's, taken up. So it kind of made me think of a couple things to do for people to get prepped for, hurricane or any other natural disaster or something, that is coming. I mean, a lot of things, obviously, you're not going to know whether earthquakes coming, tornadoes, or, get enough warning. But the hurricanes are a different story. So the biggest thing for me is the food and water. We've got hurricane windows and all that. If you want to get a generator. That's then you need to get the fuel and everything. I'm not too worried about power going out. Just my camping gear alone will keep me going for weeks, if not longer. So it's Florida. We get a lot of rain. And what I'm going to do is tomorrow, before the storm actually gets here, and I got to deal with winds, I'm going to actually try to collect some. We're supposed to get some rain tomorrow. For once, we actually didn't get any rain today. So what I'm going to do is, I've got this tarp here, and I'm going to string this tarp out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to string it up so that it funnels the water of the rain as it comes down, and it funnels into a point. And what I'll do is I've got different containers. I've got a collapsible 5-gallon jug. It's not really a jug. It's a collapsible bladder, basically. And I've got a couple of those, so I'll fill those up. But along with those, I'm just going to fill up everything I've got, really. So, I've got a metal. This is steel, and I use this for when I'm camping. It's got a screw-on bottle. Kind of see it's inside. I'll use this if I need to heat up water, because the plastic bottles, which I also am going to fill up. I've got the Nalgene, the normal Nalgene bottle, but you can't hold that over a flame and boil the water. So this, in an emergency, I can use this to actually boil water. So I'm actually going to use this to catch it, but I'm going to fill these up. I've also got a platypus, just collapsible. It's just something that doesn't take up that much room in the meantime. And I've also got a couple of Camelback bladders. So I'll fill those up as well. I've got 3 total, 2 for the backpacks, and I've got 1 that I use actually on my bike. So I'll fill all these up. I will fill up the Nalgene bottles and the bladders and everything else. And like I said, I've got the 5-gallon. Plus, we did buy some water at the food store too. Some just the 24 packs, a couple of those. So it shouldn't be a problem. Worst comes to worst, I've got a filter system that I could always pull. We've got a lake out back. I could always pull water from there if I really, really had to. I'll pull it through the filter system and just use some tablets to an iodine to clean it. On the food side, I don't anticipate losing power. So obviously, in a normal situation, just go about your normal business. Use the microwave, use the stove, anything like that. However, and history has, we saw Wilma, places down here didn't have power for weeks, if not months. So in that case, for just emergency rations, I guess you could say, and this is kind of where the reviews are going to start coming in. I've got these, which, this pack here is good. I bought this actually about 2 months ago. This is good until 7/17/2018. So this is good for another 2 years, basically. And these are good. They have a couple different, they have a buffalo flavor. They have a couple different flavors. The ranch I really like. So you'll have to toy with that. They're like $1 a piece, but it's tuna. So you get, it's good protein. It's good food. It's not junk that you're eating. It's an actual, tuna fish. On top of that, and one thing that I actually sometimes like to do is, now this is going to require the power on a microwave. You could heat this up with water, and I've got actually a whole box of actually just regular rice. And I'll show you how I'm going to heat water up if I need to, but these are always even good. And I actually sometimes I'll mix this in with the tuna, just for a little bit of a variety, a little bit of taste. Another thing, don't forget, is just regular cans of soup. Again, this is something, I bought this, I don't know, probably a month ago. It's been in the pantry, and this is good until January 2018. So again, any kind of soup, Campbell soup, Progresso, anything like that, it's something that you can heat up easily without a stove, and we'll get into that in a bit. And it's going to be something that's nutritious. You're going to get your proteins, your sodium, your carbs, and everything, because you're going to need carbs to, especially if it's, you've got no power, you got to start doing stuff for yourself. Another thing, and I personally love these, but they work out great for this. These chow mein dinners, they're dehydrated noodles. This is chicken flavor, although the chicken flavor tastes just like the beef flavor. I haven't been able to tell the difference. This is something else that's, again, you can buy these, stick them in your pantry, stick them in a everybody's got those cabinets over the fridge or something that, they're just out of the way, you don't want to use them. But these will last a long time, so you can stick them up there. I've also got one of those the food sealers. So I've actually got even beans and salt and sugar and that sort of thing, sealed up in packets up there as well. So, if it really came down to it where we had weeks and months without power, I could get away with a lot more than just this. Now, I mentioned heating up the soup, heating up the water. People want to make their coffee, they want to make their tea, whatever. The best thing for that, and even if you don't go camping, if you want something, a lot of people have barbecues, and I've got a barbecue. It's a combination smoker barbecue. It'll do propane, it'll do charcoal. That's a great plan, and I would suggest even getting just a cheap grill, just something that uses charcoal, because the charcoal, again, you can put it in your garage, you put it in a shed somewhere, and it's going to last. It's not going to go bad. Buy real hardwoods and use those. And you can cook all day on the grill. However, if it starts raining or something, it's not something you can really bring inside, even on a patio. You're not going to want to use this inside your house, but if you've got a screened patio or something, this is easy. And I bought it, I use it for camping. However, it's going to come in great for even when the power's down. And it's just an MSR pocket stove. So this is the actual unit. And it screws on, and this is the fuel source. So you've got the fuel canister. And I'm not going to screw it on her, but this comes off and it screws on top. So you've got an actual solid base. And then whether it's a kettle, whether it's this water bottle, it holds it on there. And it's very simple. I'll put a link to this, to where I bought actually everything. And this thing will boil, water, a container this big of water in probably about 2 minutes without a problem. Now you're going to you got to crank up this actually is kind of the throttle, but you've got to crank it up, and you're going to use some fuel doing that, but it will do it. So if you do need to boil something in a hurry, you've got a lot of people in the house or whatever, and you've got to make a couple different dishes, that will work. One of the other things that this works for Since you're boiling the water, you can heat up even the soup. You've got if you got a small frying pan, you can put this on there and make eggs, bacon if you wanted to. However, another great thing is the dehydrated meals, the camping meals, and I've eaten examples of both of these: the Backpackers Pantry and the Mountain House. This is Pad Thai's chicken teriyaki. I have not actually had either of these flavors. However, I had the chili mac, a chicken. Actually, I did have a chicken teriyaki, but it was in the Backpackers Pantry, and they were great. They're not they're not a gourmet meal. They're very edible, and these are another thing that this is good until May 2027. I actually even had this recommended at work. We used to go every year and get hurricane supplies just in case we were stuck at work for a while. And I actually had made the suggestion for them to buy stuff like this because it was slightly more expensive for that first trip compared to getting stuff like beef jerky and soup and everything. However, it lasts like 10 years as opposed to the other stuff that we would buy that we would end up eating or throwing out after a year. So cost effectiveness, it was actually a lot better. And although it says it makes 2 13-ounce meals, that depends. Just depends on how big of an eater you are. The other thing that I want to say is, again, with something like this and just a small little mess kit, little camping kit, it's a small frying pan. I mean, the frying pan's not much bigger than this is around. But, it's not going to feed a family of 10 very easily. But if you've got, even a husband, wife, and 2 kids, this is great. And it takes up no room. As you can see, when you're done with it, just stick it back in here and stick it in a drawer, stick it in a cabinet. These are inexpensive. Each one of these is about $5, and you could probably boil 5 to 10 pots of water on just this one. So look into that. I definitely suggest simple things like this. The other thing that is very important, and I this is part of my life. But one thing that you cannot forget when you're buying those foods is the little guy. Or in your case, it might be the big guy. But don't forget the pets. Don't forget, to have food for the cats and the dogs. I've got actually a sealed, I bought basically Mylar bags. I've got a 5-gallon Home Depot bucket that is completely filled with dog kibble. And what I did was I actually put the dog kibble in the Mylar, sealed that up using an iron. It's a large bag, so it's actually I actually put oxygen absorbers in it first, sealed the Mylar up, and then put that in a 5-gallon Home Depot, the food grade buckets. So that should keep for a long time. I can't really tell you how long it's going to keep, and I would change it out every probably couple of years. But dog cans, the canned food is going to work just as good as these. The kibble is going to last a long time, but just don't forget about the pets. Whether they're birds, cats, dogs, fish, it doesn't matter. Just make sure you've got enough food for those too. And we'll see if the storm hits. Right now, I think it's supposed to just skirt the coast. We'd be lucky if we get 30, 40 mile an hour winds. But it's a hurricane. It can make a turn at any time and come straight in. I think it's supposed to be 130 mile an hour winds at the eye. But that looks like it's going to be hitting the Bahamas. So you're talking anywhere from 60 to 100 miles offshore. And that being said, the storm's, of course, probably 200 miles across. So we're definitely going to get something. It's probably going to be a lot of rain. Last I saw, we had a 5% chance of tropical storm or hurricane force winds. However, we were supposed to get 8 inches of rain. So that'll be interesting. My area, we don't get flooded all that bad, but I've got some friends, my mother-in-law's area and all that, they get flooded really bad. So we may be taking the Jeep out and, going to rescue some people. But if I get any video, I'll throw it in here and tack it on the end.